After being relatively silent about the PlayStation 5, revealing tiny pieces of information in very low-key fashion, PlayStation have finally come out swinging with their PS5 Reveal event, with the broad consensus that they absolutely nailed it in terms of what a reveal event should be. The nearly hour-and-a-half stream felt like an E3 press conference without the awkward stage presence and had a number of surprises for PlayStation gamers desperate for more information. Welcome back to Game Gentlemen. We're posting our video a little early this week so we could bring you the things that you need to know from the PlayStation 5 Reveal event. Number 1. A trip down memory lane. Sony opened up the event with a reminder of just what it had delivered us over the past 7 years of the PlayStation 4, arguably the best console exclusives of this generation. We see launchier titles such as Killzone Shadowfall and Knack, smaller titles like Concrete Genie and The Last Guardian, universally acclaimed hits such as SpiderMan and God of War, and this year's final exclusives in The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. No doubt this is in part to celebrate the achievements of the PlayStation's first and second party studios, but to also remind us why PlayStation was the clear winner of this generation. Number 2. The Grand Theft Auto 5 trailer. The opening montage was followed up with the Grand Theft Auto 5 and GTA Online trailers, and to be perfectly honest, we didn't know where Sony was going with this. We see all the familiar beats of life in Los Santos, covering the campaign mode, along with the various updates and extension that Online has seen since day one. We can see a very conspicuous PS4 logo in the top corner, but we didn't really need that to tell that this was current generation footage. At the end of the trailer, we get the reveal that GTA 5 will be coming to PlayStation 5 in 2021, and it would be expanded and enhanced. Additionally, GTA 5 owners on PS4 would get $1 million in GTA currency every month up to the launch of the PS5 edition. This was definitely a weird way to start a next-gen reveal event, and it made us a little underwhelmed for what was to come in the next hour or so. While there's no doubt GTA 5 is a huge game both in terms of its scale and its success, and the fact that it's launching on the PS5 means it will have spanned across 3 generations of console, it seemed to us that launching your first real taste of what was to come on the PS5 with not only an existing game, but with no glimpse of what that enhanced version was going to look like was a bit of a misstep. Although, it wasn't long before we were proven wrong. Number 3. The console features. Moving away from the chronological order of the video, the next item on our list was PlayStation reaffirming much of what we already knew about the PS5. They confirmed that we would finally get 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray support, so movie lovers can enjoy all the crisp details that their movies deserve. It should be noted that back in the days of the PS2, one of its keys to sales success was the fact that it doubled as a DVD player and was substantially cheaper than many dedicated players in the market at the time. This was a feature which was continued in the PS3 with the Blu-ray player. However, a quick glance online shows that we could pick up an Ultra HD Blu-ray player anywhere from around $300. So unfortunately, this isn't a tactic that Sony can rely on. We know that we are getting an ultra-fast SSD, which has been the subject of a lot of praise from those in the know, and speculation from those who aren't. We know the console will also support ray tracing, which you will see plenty of throughout the game trailers on show. The controller features of haptic feedback, providing more granular and realistic sensations to the player, and adaptive triggers allowing the player to feel the tension of a bow versus the hair trigger of a rifle, both make an appearance, along with the controller's motion sensor, USB-C port, built-in microphone and speaker. One thing missing from the renders that we could see was the presence of any back button. It has been widely speculated since the release of the back button attachment that the PS5 controller might have them built in, and the attachment was a means of making the DualShock 4 controller forwards compatible, but this does not seem like it will be the case. PlayStation's 3D audio was also highlighted, which will provide depth to the soundscape of games to make the player feel that sounds are truly coming from a 3D space. Also, in a subtle interstitial scene, we receive the first glimpse of the PlayStation 5's UI, with the usual press the PS button to continue prompt being shown on screen. Number 4. The games. PlayStation showed off 26 titles throughout the live event, and there was a heavy emphasis on the fact that these were all captured in-engine, with some trailers going further to specify that it was captured on the PS5 dev kit. We're going to split this up into two parts, covering the titles we're most excited for and can get any kind of substantial information, followed by a recap of all of the other titles shown. Gran Turismo 7. Car games have long been a really impressive way to showcase the technology of a console platform, and have only looked better over time. Gran Turismo 7 is no exception. In this first look at the seminal PlayStation racing franchise, we get to see incredibly detailed interior shots, ray tracing, illumination, and reflective effects in the surfaces of cars, real gameplay of the cars out on the track, and a glimpse of the game's career mode. Unfortunately, we're not given any indicative release date or window for this title. GhostWire Tokyo. We get to see gameplay of GhostWire Tokyo, the new IP from the Evil Within developer Tango Gameworks and published by Bethesda. Directed by legendary developer Shinji Mikami and first announced last year, GhostWire Tokyo puts players in the heart of Japan's capital after a devastating paranormal event, releasing vengeful spirits unto the world. Unlike the slower survival horror gameplay of The Evil Within, we see fast, action-packed first-person gameplay with what seems to be an emphasis on melee combat. From the trailer we can see several creepy enemy types, not a surprise from Tango Gameworks, mysterious figures wearing Oni masks, quite real feeling Tokyo streets and alleyways, as well as real-life locations such as the Tokyo Skytree. GhostWire Tokyo will be a PlayStation console exclusive, but will also be coming to PCs in 2021. Demon's Souls. Head of Sony's independent developer initiative and Sony icon Shuhei Yoshida introduced us to the remake of Demon's Souls. The remake is being handled by Bluepoint Games, the developer behind the Shadow of the Colossus remake on PS4, and Japan Studio, who notably worked on the PS4 exclusive Bloodborne with From Software. It's noted in the YouTube trailer that this is a remake, not a remaster, indicating that the game has been entirely rebuilt. According to IGN, an early description on the game's YouTube trailer also noted that there would be different graphical modes, and that the game would include something called a fractured mode. This detail has since been removed from the trailer description, but this is the internet and nothing's ever truly gone. Demon's Souls was first released in 2009 and was the starting point for the Souls genre of incredibly challenging games. Demon's Soul Remake will be a PlayStation exclusive, but no release window was given. Deathloop. French studio Arcane Lyon showed off gameplay for their new IP Deathloop. Deathloop tells us the story of two assassins stuck in an infinite loop of murder and mayhem, as assassin Colt is determined to kill his targets, while Juliana will do whatever it takes to stop him. Set in the mysterious world of Black Reef, the player is pit against trigger-happy NPCs and what appears to be one-hit kills. As you would expect, gameplay is reminiscent of the Dishonored series, with a variety of weapons and player abilities such as teleportation, similar to Dishonored's Blink, and emergent gameplay coming from the player being able to approach a scenario in a variety of ways. The game's trailer had a very heavy Grindhouse vibe, and no release date has been announced. Similar to GhostWire Tokyo, Deathloop will come to PCs, but will be a PlayStation 5 console exclusive. Resident Evil 8. The leaks of a new Resident Evil game being set and titled Village have been proven to be true. Resident Evil Village brings the survival horror series back to first-person perspective and continues the story of Resident Evil 7 protagonist and everyman Ethan. The game looks much larger in scale and ambition than the previous Resident Evil title, and appears to introduce us to at least 4 mysterious femme fatale antagonists, along with fast-moving creatures, a giant hammer-wielding boss of some sort, werewolves, and both open and claustrophobic environments. The game teases us that Resident Evil hero Chris Redfield will also play some kind of antagonistic role, however, we suspect that this is a red herring. We'll just have to wait till 2021 to find out. While no details beyond 2021 were shared in the trailer, the last 3 Resident Evil titles were released at the start of the year, so we suspect that this will be a Q1 title as well. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Ratchet and Clank are back in an interdimensional hopping adventure with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Between 2018's hit game SpiderMan and the upcoming Spider-Man Miles Morales, more on that later, Insomniac have certainly been busy. Insomniac creative director Marcus Smith tells us after the trailer that this game has been built from the ground up for the PlayStation 5. We're not sure if that means it has been built in an entirely new engine, but what we do know is that the game is showcasing key features of the console, such as ray tracing effects and the near instant load times, allowing for the player to travel between the interdimensional worlds without so much as a stutter. The game is promised to be denser and more dynamic, with worlds varying from a prehistoric era to a Blade Runner-esque future dimension and everything in between. The game even teases an alternate dimension version of Ratchet, leading to the possibility of even more multiverse variations. The trailer is capped off with a lengthy gameplay sequence, well, lengthy for this format, but no release date is given. Spider-Man Miles Morales. We get a glimpse of the follow-up to the 2018 hit Spider-Man with Spider-Man Miles Morales. Taking place after the events of the first game and its subsequent DLC, we see Miles Morales step up into the spotlight for the sequel. Familiar gameplay such as web swinging and combat can be seen in the trailer, along with some new skills to match Miles Morales' comic book abilities of biokinesis, allowing him to unleash a powerful electrified strike known as the Venom Strike, and active camouflage, no doubt playing into the game's stealth mechanic. The trailer dropped the release window of holiday 2020, so we can assume that this is a launch title for the console. With this being the case, it's kind of strange that we didn't get to see more actual gameplay in what was a pretty short trailer. Horizon Forbidden West. PlayStation ended the release trailers with a follow-up to Guerrilla Games' Horizon Zero Dawn, and honestly, we thought that this was going to be the biggest announcement to come out of the stream. Horizon Forbidden West continues the story of Aloy as she ventures out further to unravel the mysteries of the Old Ones and stop a looming threat which seems to be affecting all organic life. We see new underwater gameplay along with new creatures such as the large snapping turtle creature, and elephant-like creatures being led by a tribe of humans. Former ally Silas is back and he seems to be intent on spreading the corruption which plagued the first game. No release date or year was given for Horizon Forbidden West. As we mentioned at the start of this segment, PlayStation revealed a massive 26 titles during the livestream. Some of these are smaller developments with limited detail, and some are just teasers which won't release for the next few years, but they all look very exciting. First off the mark was Project Athia from Square Enix and Luminous Productions. Project Athia looks to be a beautifully open world with supernatural enemies, combat, and traversal abilities. The game has been designed exclusively for the PS5. Annapurna Interactive brings us two games, with Stray putting players in the paws of a cat in a world full of robots, and Solar Ash being a beautifully coloured third-person adventure game which gave us slight Journey vibes. Both titles are coming out in 2021. Resogun and Alienation developer Housemarque brings us an atmospheric sci-fi third-person shooter named Returnal, which reminds us of the movie Edge of Tomorrow, or Live Die Repeat, depending on what region you're in. Sumo Digital once again brings Sackboy to life in Sackboy: A Big Adventure, a 3D puzzle platformer with what appears to be up to 4-player co-op. British developer Lucid Games brings us Destruction All-Stars, a demolition derby meets rollerball game with vibes of Sunset Overdrive, Rocket League and Fortnite. Kenna: Bridge of Spirits is a third-person action adventure game with an animated art style from small developer Ember Lab, led by brothers Josh and Mike Greer. Goodbye Volcano High is an animated cinematic narrative game coming in 2021 from developer Co-op, and while it doesn't look anything special from a graphics standpoint, the narrative direction of the game is set to hit many people right in the feels. We were given another glimpse of Oddworld Soulstorm, which we covered in last week's video, so won't go into too much depth here. Jet: The Far Shore will be arriving holiday 2020, which means it's assumedly a launch title. Players set out to explore new worlds to carve out a future for a people haunted by oblivion. The game is being co-created by Super Brothers and Pine Centered. Is it just me, or did anybody else think the guy at the start of the trailer looked like Hide the Pain Harold? We got more gameplay for Gearbox and Counterplay's looter slasher Godfall, along with a release window of holiday 2020. Again, as we covered Godfall in our video last week, we don't want to repeat ourselves too much. But we do want to say, while we were initially skeptical about the title, combat looks solid, and as a presumably launch title for the console, this one's definitely worth a look. IO Interactive gave us a glimpse of the conclusion to the Hitman trilogy in Hitman III. The sandbox game full of disguise, subterfuge, and most importantly, experimentation. Said to be Agent 47's most intimate and professional contract yet, Hitman III releases January 2021, and it is reported that it won't be episodic. We see brief gameplay for colourful platformer Astro's Playroom by Japan Studio and Team Asobi, and Little Devil Inside from Team Neostream has a unique papercraft, almost stop-motion art style, and what looks to be a dark sense of humour. Neither of these titles have been given a release date. Zion Williamson of the New Orleans Pelicans introduces us to NBA 2K21, which releases fall this year and will no doubt be a cross-generation title. The creators of Octodad bring us Bugsnax, a game where it seems you really are what you eat. The game feels like a cross between the Muppets and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and as an Australian, I felt a little attacked by the clearly Steve Irwin inspired impression at the start of the trailer. Following on from the Resident Evil Village trailer, Capcom have also given us a teaser for their mind-bending sci-fi title Pragmata, which releases 2022. Details are scarce at this stage, so this will be one we'll have to keep an eye on. Number 5. The big console reveal. Lastly, Sony closed out the stream with our first full look at the PlayStation 5. First impressions are that Sony heard how everyone felt the Xbox Series X looked so different to your usual console, and said hold my beer. The console is shown in an upright position, although later confirmed it can operate lying flat, and continues the two-toned panelled look of the Dualsense Controller. The centre of the console is highlighted by a blue light which runs along its exhaust vents, and we see one USB Type-C and one USB Type-A port in the front, along with what appear to be physical power and eject buttons. Perhaps one of the more surprising reveals of the console was the presence of a digital edition, which removes the disk drive and carries a sleeker, more tapered look. As per the Xbox One S All-Digital Edition, we would expect that the PlayStation 5 Digital Edition would come at a cheaper price point. We also saw official peripherals for the console with the reveal of a new dual-lens HD camera, controller charging station, wireless headset, and media remote. We definitely like the look of some of these peripherals, which appear quite clean and modern. However, the jury is still out on the console itself. While it's definitely bold, and the two-tone paneling on the console and controller provide a great blank canvas for some spectacular special editions, we can't help but wonder if it's going to look a little dated in 10 to 15 years time, or even by the end of the console lifecycle. Now we've covered the things we've learnt from the PlayStation 5 event, there are still some questions left unanswered. We still do not know pricing, which we expect Sony will keep very tight-lipped about until either Microsoft makes their pricing announcement for the Series X, or they can't hold out any longer. We did not get to see the rear of the console to understand if we get additional USB ports, or if there are any proprietary ports as per the Series X expansion drive, and we do not have a release date other than holiday 2020. Our best guess here at Game Gentleman would be very late October or early November, and if we were to place a bet, our money will be on Friday, the 6th of November. Lastly, while not specifically PlayStation related, we did not see the heavily rumoured WB Montreal Batman game or the supposed Dead Space game teased by an ex-Visceral developer earlier in the week. What are your thoughts on the reveal event? Do you love or hate the new console design? Tell us in the comments section below, and don't forget to hit the like button. We post 2 videos up every week, so be sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss out. We also post our daily news bites on Instagram and Facebook, so give us a follow over there if you want the highlights of the stories you need to know. This has been Game Gentleman, and thanks for watching.